What's up, everyone? It is the 2024 season, which means we have a brand new Skeeter Yamaha package behind us. We are going to give you a boat walkthrough, but it's going to be a little bit different. The years past, we've done it before the season has started. This year, we are doing it on the shores of Toledo Bend. We've got the Bassmaster Elite weigh-in behind us. You may even hear a little bit of the band doing sound check back there. You might hear some Yamaha starting up back there. But we're gonna give you a walkthrough of this boat after we have fished one tournament out of it so that you get to see exactly how it is rigged, tournament ready, and even had a tournament fished out of it. Let's go check it out. So kicking it off on the most important end of the whole setup, Yamaha 250 SHO. This is my 14th Skeeter Yamaha package, so it's an FXR20, the Yamaha 250 SHO. This motor has been flawless. Knock on wood. I knock on the boat, but there's no wood in the boat, so there's a stump over there I'll knock on later when I walk by. Zero problems in 14 years out of this motor. And if you have watched any of the videos, there's often times that I make Kyle or the boat drivers or Tiffany or anybody nervous that I'm gonna make it back for weigh-in because I push it to the very last second. You have to have trust in your equipment that, that one key turn reliability is gonna hold true. And it has. I've made it back many a times with 15 seconds, 30 seconds left. And it's because I can rely on my motors and stuff. Also, 8-foot Raptors, super, super cool. And if you look up top, I've got this little bass fishing electronics light. That's kind of been the best one that I've found. Those guys sent me that one last year and I ran it, loved it. So added it on again this year. 8-foot Raptors. This is the switch that I've got that goes to my console. Tons of pressure. It's got active anchoring, so as the boat moves or waves move, those are gonna go in and they're just gonna keep driving and driving, so you're gonna get less drift, less spin. Sounds like the band is picking up their noise a little bit. Running DD26 clips and a motor tote. Those guys, hands down, make the best stuff. Everything's made here in-house, right in the USA, so they're doing that whole process on their own. And running a 25 pitch prop, I'm probably gonna go to a 24 T2, get a little bit more RPMs, a little bit better hole shot. Seems like the 25, if you're running really, really light, is good. If you're running a full tournament load, I prefer the 24 a little bit more. And then let's see, what else we got? Let's talk about the back end. We'll hop up here, give you guys a quick little run through back here. We've got a little amped marine system here, little tray. If you're a Skeeter owner, you guys can check those out. We've got 4 impulse lithium, so I'm running 2 36 volt 40 amp hours in parallel, and then I've got 2 12 volt 160 amp hours in parallel, running all my electronics, Raptor pumps back here. And then there's a space for a 3rd battery. I took that out. I'm gonna mount a spare prop holder in there, and that's where my spare prop's gonna end up going. I just have not been able to get that built and done yet. But this is kind of where all the business rigging end happens. And then we will take you to the console. Let's check that out real quick. Before we hop to the console and talk about electronics and all that, there is a cool thing that Skeeter added this year in their 2024s. For years, we've been cutting up the standard pool noodles and stuff to create a barrier, a buffer, a little bit of insulation between the water and the air, but it's also kind of a bump stop for those fish when you get in the rough water. Skeeter said, well, we'll go ahead and just build you guys a mat. So it's got a cutout so your aeration still can flow through the water. You can get plenty of oxygen. This is gonna help insulate the heat from coming through, and then it's also gonna help keep those fish, right? So you get in the rough water, they've got padding to come up against rather than just a hard lid. So that is a pretty cool little feature that they added in for 2024. Moving to the console, which is where a lot of business happens. Same super comfortable FXR seats. And then this year I went from Solix 12s to Apex 13s. They have a slightly different aspect ratio, so they're a little bit wider versus the Solix is a little bit more square. So you get a wider image with the Apex. I figured that would be beneficial for more of the side imaging and the mapping, just getting a little bit more screen space back here, but not getting too high where I still have a good solid view. Have both of those mounted up on a Pro Size Outdoors dual deck dash mount. Super easy to install, goes right through the aluminum skeeter plate, and it's rock solid. You go out Lake Ontario, Toledo Bend, it's gonna handle that just fine. And the cool thing with that is you're able to shift and move that around to how you like it, right? Different heights, or you can shift it left or right depending on your graph configuration. What else we got back here? Hot foot on a slider, which is good for a guy like me because I'm a lot shorter than most people. So when I sell the boat, it usually gets, you know, shifted back a little bit. And then we're gonna go right under Kyle's feet right here, because these are a couple cool features that I add. DD26 spool stick for rigging. This thing is super simple, but it's one of those things you add to your boat that you use on a daily basis rigging. And then the boys at Amped Marine got me hooked up with the little understep slider drawer. That's normally dead space. You throw your tackle underneath there, right? And it just becomes a mess under there. Now I just have a mess in a drawer, so it's contained. Which, with 2 kids under 2, they like to crawl around in the boat. Kira can't crawl yet, but Cora likes to crawl around in the boat. Keeps those hooks managed a little bit, less odds of her stepping on hooks and grabbing hooks and things like that. So that is super cool. And then we'll open up some compartments, let you guys see inside. Right, this is where all the organization is, pretty much. And I like to keep all my rods in one. You can put rods in the center, you can put rods on the side, but I like to keep them all on one side. So we go rod box. The beautiful thing that they changed on the 2024 is that the last 3 or 4 years, really, since we've had FXRs, I've been taking out and removing the rod tubes and cutting a hole and then putting a rubber gasket around it for padding. Well, they finally listened. The FXR 20, 21 for 24 comes with a giant cutout hole. I can fit probably close to 40 rods if I stagger the reels a little bit and place them in there right. But I like to use the neoprene rod gloves for that, so that it just adds a little bit of cushion. But we've got everything that we rigged up here for Toledo. We're getting ready to go to Fork. A lot of this stuff's gonna stay in. Some of it's gonna come out. Some swim baits might get added in there. And then moving into the center compartment, you can see this is where I keep most of all my tackle stuff. And then these little hang trays from Amped Marine are super cool. They even built me one with my logo on it this year. That was a nice little surprise that they surprised me with. And then this one is super cool. This is a slotted one. So it has little compartments. So I've been keeping little jig heads and things like that. I just use those as kind of quick organizational pieces. I'll take these 2 out. You can see I've got the side organizer from Amped Marine in there. That just allows me to stack smaller boxes. I've got some swammers, little plastics in there, but that helps keep that dead space on that rail organized in a skeeter, which has been super helpful to be able to use that space wisely. Yeah, not a whole lot else in there. I add these little pads. So this is just a little piece of, like, I don't know, you call it C-Deck, aqua traction material stuff, that I just cut these little squares, and that helps just add a little bit of padding on the deck. So it's not, you know, aluminum lid to aluminum deck. When you close these lids, it's just a little bit quieter, right? I don't have that banging on there. Super simple little fix. Other side, just straight plastics, some extra life jackets, but keep like kind of my bags of plastics and stuff in there that way. Keeps it super simple, nice that way. And then we will move toward the front and talk about where most of the magic happens. At the front of the boat, we are running 3 units up here, 2 Solix 12s and an Apex 13. 3 Apex 13s is just too much for me. I like things to be kind of low profile, condensed, not very cluttered, and 2 Solix 12s and 1 Apex 13 allows me to really kind of get the best of everything. Keeps it low profile. Running it on the Pro-Size Outdoors dual decket mount, but the low pro version, so that helps keep these units nice and low for when I'm driving the boat at the console. They're not blocking my vision at all. And then the Apex 13, that's what I run my Mega Live on. I like that wider screen for when I'm running out there 110 foot plus. That's just gonna give me a better screen resolution on that. So obviously running Humminbird Mega Live, got the Humminbird Mega 360, which I run on my right Solix, and then I'll run my Lakemaster chart and my 2D on a 70-30 split on the left screen. And then that gives me everything that I need. And then the new Ultrex Quest, I've got a 45-inch shaft on here right now. I will upgrade that to a 52 later in the year when we start getting up north. Probably could get away with it in these first 2 events, having a bigger, longer one, but it wasn't too bad out there this week on Toledo. We'll get through Fork, and then the next few tournaments we'll probably want this shorter shaft if we get up shallow roaming around. Added a troll tamer to it. I through bolt that. I'm able to reach from the front, get through there, add some washers and nuts on that. That's super important if you're gonna run one of those. You don't want to just screw it to the deck, because if you get in really big water, you will rip those out. And then really the last thing up here, we talked about the Quest, the Solix, the Apex. We're running the Tato design mount. So if you're looking for a camera mount, I suggest these. You might have noticed in the rest of the video, there's one at the console that's mounted on one of these blocks, and then there's also one that is in my seat post. I use those. You're able to get all sorts of different angles. It's adjustable with the ball mounts, so I can rotate this, I can flip it around, run forward. You can get some really cool low angle running shots that way, but you know, fully made out of aluminum, made right here in the US, super strong and durable, and those guys make a phenomenal product. The best mounts that I've found for being able to run your GoPro stuff on a bass boat. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of rundown. Maybe give you guys some ideas if you own a Skeeter, or if you're looking at getting one, that might make you want to choose a certain model over another. So hopefully that helps you guys out. That was really, really weird. There was a lot of guys in there. Hopefully that helps you out, and we can move on. We got Lake Fork coming up, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
If you have questions,
and if you have questions, you can comment down below, ask questions. We will answer them. I'll answer them. Kyle won't answer them, because he probably doesn't know.
Biggest question is, do I get to drive this boat?
Depends on how many hook sets you miss.